Hi, I'm Nick Huston here for Gotham Sound. Thanks for being here to learn a little bit more about the Zoom F4. We just got our hands on an actual production model, and so we figured we'd do a follow-up to our first look. This will be more of an what happens out of the box, and does it actually work, and how does it actually work, rather than just seeing an empty box with lights and stuff. So anyway, so this is the Zoom F4. Let's take a peek at what is in the box. Okay, so it's got a very nicely designed cover. I'm going to lift off the cover. Nice foam packaging. And you can see that we've got more packaging wrapped around the Zoom. So here is the F4 itself. Put that off to the side. We've got power supply. So this is a power supply. It looks like it goes to 2.1 millimeter. And let's see what else is in the box. Underneath it, here's the mount that would allow you to mount this underneath a camera. So we'll put that off to the side just so we can see that. Okay. And what else do we have? Up the manual, very important. Good. And then one thing that I thought was pretty interesting when we first looked at this. So this box, or this little converter, is actually used to convert the AC adapter from this 2.1 millimeter power into Hiroshi. So the F4 only has Hiroshi power on it, so they've included this power adapter to be able to adapt to Hiroshi rather than just having an actual Hiroshi power supply, which is kind of an interesting choice. But as you can see here, this is the Hiroshi power port. And if we just quickly flip it around, there is no 2.1 millimeter adapter anywhere. So that's an interesting choice, but at least they include an AC power supply, even if it is a little bit wacky. So let me just put this away, and we'll power. And it also is very difficult to get out. It's not the first time I've had that problem. Okay, so that's what's in the box. So we'll get our own power from over here. Plug it in, as you can see, just right on the side. Just plug it in, standard Hiroshi power, which is definitely an upgrade over what 2.1 would be. I know the F8 had 2.1 and Hiroshi on it, so I think just going with one seems to make quite a bit more sense. All right, so as I mentioned, the Zoom F4 can mount underneath any kind of camera that has a standard thread on it. So what you would do is you would unscrew these screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to do this because we don't need to put it under a camera. But we'd unscrew those threads. We'd mount this on here, and then this would screw into the bottom of the camera. It's a little bit heavy to have underneath the camera, but you know, if you need it, you need it. And then there's also a standard tripod screw in under here, so you could mount the Zoom itself to a tripod. And that's also not to say that if you had two tripods, you could also just mount this on one tripod and have your camera on another. Anyway, so we'll put that away because that's just a neat little thing that comes with. What we really want to see is how things look. So let's power on. So we turn it on. It says Zoom. Just a quick recap of all the different panels. You have your 4 inputs over here. They're the XLR 1/4-inch combo jacks. So XLR is mic level only. The 1/4-inch or TRS are line level only. So you would have to have different cables made depending on what kind of signal you want to feed in there. On the side panel, you've got your mini sub out. You've got your returns, USB for data. And then you've got your main outputs on XLR and a 1/4-inch headphone jack. On the back panel, time code in and out. You've got the input port for inputs 5 and 6 to use any of the the Zoom accessories, so whether it's XLR or whether it's a shotgun mic or it's one of the small stereo mics, you can do that. And then your battery port on the back. So very similar to the Zoom F8. If you take a look at it, it comes with this little battery thing, and you can jam, you can break it like I am. Ooh, that's not good. It's a little plasticky. Definitely would recommend using it with external batteries, but looks like it takes 8 AA batteries. We haven't had a chance to test it, but my guess is that the runtime is approximately the same as the Zoom F8. And then the SD cards, you see you've got 2 SD card slots, 1 and 2. For our purposes, we're just going to take one and pop it right in there. Okay? And now we can spend the rest of the time on the front. Okay? So that's interesting. Okay, so on the front, you see the display screen. You've got indicators that say what your trim is set to. So these main pots are set as trim right now, where the other, the mixing pots are just kind of at a 3 o'clock position. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a little lightning bolt that would indicate that phantom power has been applied. We've got an empty folder. You know, it's not recording. There's your time code 2997 drop frame. There's your actual time code going right there. So let's get into it and just see how easy it is to plug a mic in and go. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just hit the menu. We'll go into the input setup. And we'll take a look at the phantom power. I see. So we'll take a look at the phantom power. So you would have to go into input phantom, turn it on and off, and then it's on and off for each input. So if we wanted to have input 1 on, we would select input 1 and turn it on. Okay, so let's see. So now we'll take our Sennheiser MKH50, plug it in, and see if we get some levels. And do we have levels? Yes, we do. Of course, we only have the trim up a little bit, but there we go. There's some levels. We can see them right there. So you see that there's green, and then it'll go up to orange, and then eventually red. Now, the thing to know about this is it does have limiters built in. They are digital limiters, so they do not take place in the analog realm. A lot of people prefer analog limiters, but at least it has limiters. So there's that, and we can, just for fun, plug the output of this into our board so you can hear the sound of the 50 coming through, just so you can hear the sound of the 50. So if we, is that up, Ilya? Okay, great. So you should hear, and my lob's out, yeah? All right, so now you hear just the sound of the MKH50. Again, we're streaming this over the internet, so take whatever you hear with a grain of salt. We can post some test recordings if people want, but it does work. It does pass audio. And Ilya, how's it sound?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. All right, sounds fine. All right, good. So so other things, as we mentioned, popping back and forth between having this work as a trim and having it work as a mixing pot. To me, unless you're actually doing tracking and you want to mix, you probably want to have this set as a mixing pot at all times. So let's see if I can remember how to do that. Pretty sure that's under System. Nope. Let's see. Nope. No, interesting. Here's all your record settings. No. That's what it is. Okay, so to flip these from trim to fader pots, what you would do is just make sure you're on this screen, push the menu button, and that will actually select where it says trim here. Then you scroll it down until it says fader. So now these are faders, And you can, so now you can see I've got it faded all the way down, but I'm still having my, my trim. So you can switch back and forth like that if you want to do it quickly, or if you want to set an input trim, you would go into, I guess you would probably PFL it. Yeah, you would PFL it, and then you would change your mic trim. Okay, so that's how that works. It's a little bit weird, but at least you have, you know, it'd be nice to have two different a trim pot and a mixing pot, but at least you have something where you can quickly say, okay, you know, I need to reduce the trim on this, and it's 3 button clicks away, but you can do it. Okay, let's see what else. We've got tone. We can do tone across all channels. That's great. One of the things that I think is important about this video is that if you have questions and you have things that you want to see this do, or you want to know how it works, that you ask us, so that I can actually show you. Because right now, this seems pretty, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially when watched with the other video. One thing that somebody did ask is they wanted to know how the files worked when loaded into the Finder. So I'm going to do a couple of test recordings now, just so we can see what the various things are. So first, I'm just going to format the drive. Okay, so SD card format. Format SD card 1, yes. It takes a minute. There's the hourglass. Done. Okay. So now we'll go back and we'll look at our recording settings. So there's a couple of different recording settings. So if we want to, so let's just do the first one as polywave. So we will set our metadata as, there we go, metadata, and we'll call it, we're going to change it from the date to a username, and the username will be poly. As you can see, it's reasonably easy to find all of the metadata entry stuff, and everything's just entered on the scroll wheel. If anybody is curious, there is no port for a keyboard. This is all going to be manually entered. And also there's no Bluetooth on this model. I know that the Zoom F8 had Bluetooth, that you could use an app on your iPad or Android and things like that. This does not have that. It's all manual. So let's go ahead and make our test recording of poly. So you see it pops up as poly take one.wav. Pretty exciting, and we'll stop it because we're just doing that for to find out what the file structure looks like. And so we'll do now, we'll change it to, let's see, we'll do tracks 1 through 6 as mono. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we'll just change the metadata to be mono. Delete, delete, delete. Okay, enter. Yes, we want to reset the take number. We'll hit record. And it's good to let you record inside the menu. And now we've got mono there. All right, so now we'll hit stop. All right, so let's take a peek and see how this, how the Zoom files pop up on the SD card. Take the SD card out from the back. There we go. Just put that down on the floor there. And use our magical SD card reader. Somebody should train me on how to use these things. Okay, and so now let's see what happens. So we've got our computer all set up. And there's our F4SD. Okay, and so in the root directory, you see you've got your poly file, your one poly file. So it looks like when you do, your poly files are going to show up in the root directory. And then the mono file, it makes its own folder. So all of the monophonic files are showing up in the folder. There we have track 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's also a file for false takes. So if we didn't have any false takes, but you'd be able to find them there. And trash for, gum and other kinds of garbage and things like that, which I'm not sure how to get that in the computer, but I'm sure it's possible. Just kidding. So that's how the folder structure works. I'm going to just take the minute to ask my producer, Joe. Joe, is there anything I'm missing?
Neil asked, are there any selecting headphone sources options like sound devices has?
Oh, okay, interesting. So, question is, are there any ways to select headphone sources options? Kind of like on the 633, where you can program things. You can either listen left and right, or you can listen 1, 2, 3 on the left, or this on the right, or you can program any number of presets. Let's find out. Okay, so this is the headphone volume here. So let's go into the menu. Let's check out the output. Headphone routing. So you can, that doesn't look like there's presets, but it looks like you can pretty much do whatever you want. So you can route anything left and right. So you've got inputs 1 through 6 that you can route to the left. You've got left and right. And then you've got mid-side. It looks like it's M1 and 2 and S1 and 2. So that's probably the microphone 1 and 2. I'm not exactly sure what that is. We'll have to look that up. But you can route pretty much anything you want left and right. You also have an option for MS decode. Looks like it's for 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. You've got an option for pre and post, so that's also nice. And then you can do just a mono mix of everything, or you can clear it all out. I think the most common way to use this will be left and right, but it's nice to know that you have the option. And again, it does have a pre-fade listen on every channel, so you can, a lot of the ways that people use it is listening to the mix, and then just quickly doing a pre-fade listen, checking each channel, and making sure that everything's fine, which if you're adjusting the gain, you'll probably want to do that anyway. Very good. So anyway, that's a brief look at the Zoom F4. If you guys have any additional questions, you can either post them below this video if you're watching it on YouTube or Vimeo. You can email us for more questions. Yeah, you can email us for anything more specific, because what you're interested in, we are interested in. It certainly seems like it's a pretty viable, rugged little machine. For $650, you get four real tracks. I view it as a 4+2 mixer recorder, so you get 4 record tracks with 2 mix downs, which I think is pretty good. It's pretty phenomenal for the price. And you get time code, and you actually get reasonably industry standard connectors. These ones weird me out a little bit, but that's okay. And anyway, so that's about the size of it. Thank you for watching. If you want to see this video again and more, you can go to our archives at vimeo.com/GothamSound, or YouTube, which is gothamsound.com/YouTube. As always, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see, you can email us at info@gothamsound.com. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.